Roz Roz, I think, is a pretty important song for the band. It was actually a song that we had written, I think, in 2019. Only the hook wasn't fitting. 'Cause I think that time the hook was something else. It was Roz Roz aate ho, aankhein uchrate ho. I was like, bro, ye nahi baitha, and we thought, and then so this is like throughout the song pretty much. If you see, it goes along the whole timeline, and I don't know why. I just that time it sounded nice to me. That time we were signed to Sony, and Sony said like, "What about Shilpa Rao?" And we were like, "Bruh, we love Shilpa Rao." Hi, this is Himonshu Parikh, and you're watching me on Mashable Todd-Fodd. So I came up with this riff, and that time Rajan and Stuart were like, "Bro, what is that?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was fooling around, and they were like, "No, play it back, play it back." And Rajan was like, Roz Roz will fit perfectly on this. We were like, cool, let's try it. So the whole verses and everything was fitting really nicely. Only the hook wasn't fitting. Because I think that time the hook was something else. It was Roz Roz aate ho, aankhein uchrate ho, aisa kya bhala. That's what it was. I was like, bro, ye nahi baitha, and we thought, and then I remember saying that should we change it to like Roz Roz aate ho, and that fit better. So then we were like, okay, let's go with that. So that melody was made. Rajan was always like, this song is a conversation, which is why we were like, we must collaborate with someone. That time we were signed to Sony, and Sony said like, what about Shilpa Rao? And we were like, bruh, we love Shilpa Rao. Obviously, she agreed to do it as well, and we were like, let's go, like let's do this. Obviously, like COVID had to hit. And then the lockdown happened. Eventually, I think the lockdown lifted for a brief while, and that's when we managed to get into the studio, record Shilpa, record Rajan's vocals also, and put the finishing touches and close it. It was just a process where we all six of us, like the five of us in the band and Shilpa, like we all felt like a lot of synergy and like love in the room of like, hum log saath mein kuch bana rahe hain. You know, we're making something really good together. And even though it happened through COVID, I think that feeling really came through. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, it all started with this riff. Since we're on the riff, I'll also touch upon like another thing is what I got Pani to do then was play each individual note of the arpeggio on his guitar, and I chopped them up. So like you will hear along the song also like this guitar chopped up. So it's to add some edge to it and add like a feeling of little guitar and stuff basically. But that's the whole riff, and even that when you heard the song, you know the riff continues almost throughout the song, right? I think like that's kind of a pattern of also like pop music in general, where you kind of find a latch and then you latch onto it and you keep it going. So that's the riff basically carries on. And along with that, there's another really strange element that is there throughout the song, which is this like vocal thing, which is really soft, but yeah. So this is like throughout the song pretty much. If you see, it goes along the whole timeline. And I don't know why. That time it sounded nice to me. The idea is to kind of have like a few hero elements, as I like to call them. So they are your elements that carry the songs, and then the rest of the things are just like coming in, going out, adding like, you know, vibes. Shilpa's vocals start there. So like this section, I wanted it to be a little more ambient and a little more flowy. So I added this like nice sort of synth. Guitars I'll show you later. And a heap of backing vocals also, to add that sort of paddy feeling to it. But the idea is to create a bridge between like the vocal and the track. But the texture of the voice gives it a nice human thing, plus it adds lyrical emphasis. So it does a few jobs, I feel. And yeah, and the guitars are like, Pani used to also love stacking up guitar parts. So all very ambient. You know, there's a random sound here which I realized when I opened the session, like a string hit. We also, if you notice, this synth that I showed you initially kind of opens up towards the end. That's same, like it's going somewhere, you know, we're reaching somewhere. And I wanted the first Roz Roz to be like empty. Rather than like going full crazy there, it was like, for a second, it's like, okay, so before it goes crazy. And that's the same, the riff that I showed you chopped up on the guitar, that's what's playing there essentially. So it doesn't have the main synth on top. So it sounds khali purposely. And then it comes in with the synth later, when the drums and everything come in. So the bass is live. And the groove is like all just produced. And in some bits, Sahil has sent me like bits of his playing hi-hat from home. So he's like, there are some bits of his hi-hat from home, like this in the middle randomly, then something here. Basically, this is some muted guitar. It's also live. The guitars are all live. We have your that's going on in the back constantly. Yeah, so the idea was like is to keep that emotion thing, but keep it like groovy, keep it chill. So even here we have some backing vocals. That's basically like the hook. So it's like and the hook, I kind of enjoy this like straight kick thing, but I didn't want to have a straight kick, so it's just like a broken straight kick. That was honestly why I did it. So it's like you just gotta remove it, and then back to that straight kick out. So it's kind of like a hybrid between a straight kick and not having a straight kick also. So it's like half the bar is straight, half is not. And then the bass does the rest of the lifting of like building the groove essentially, you know. So this section is actually like my favorite section personally of the song. And then we kick into the main groove. So I really enjoy that. And then when the groove kicks in, your harmonies also continue. These new pianos come to add some energy. Then the last bit is something else because we wanted to have another interlude basically. So we already had one musical interlude after the first chorus, which is just the bells. But then the next interlude, we were like, what should we do? And you know, it should have some vocal thing. And that's when Sahil actually came up with the melody at the end of Man Mein Khal Raha. Man Mein Khal Raha. Sahil was like, Man Mein Khal Raha. You know, Man Mein Khal Raha. So then Shilpa sang that. Man Mein Khal Raha. And this is actually a section in the song where all three of us are singing, to be honest. So like it's like mainly, of course, Shilpa's voice. Man mein khal raha. But like I have my voice like filtered as well. Man mein khal raha. And Rajan also has an alap happening in the back. Man mein khal raha. So it's kind of getting into a little more culmination space. You know, there's more vocals, everyone's voices are on. There's a lot of harmonies going on. There's some high notes. Because finally we're leading into this outro. We have like some like tonal change to the song. Because till now it's been in this groovy pop space. But then the last part, we wanted to keep it a little more cinematic. And then after we finish that section, right at the end, that's the end of the song.